What is up, Nation? Noah here, back again, and it is Survivor Series week, which means we are here to make our predictions for Survivor Series War Games this Saturday night at the Allstate Arena in Chicago, Illinois. I already started filming this video, then I realized I wasn't actually filming. I never pressed record, and I was one match deep, so that's just how we do things on the channel. Hopefully it works out this time. Let's not waste any more time. Let's get into the predictions. All right, we will kick off Survivor Series with Carlito taking on Santos Escobar. And let me just say, before we get into predicting this, I am so excited for this match on Saturday, man. It may be the match I'm looking forward to the most. And then, you know, Randy Orton's return on top of that. Carlito, ruthless aggression guy. You guys know I don't need to sit here and tout about it. Ruthless aggression era. I love it so near and dear. Carlito finally coming back in the fold. We've been waiting for it for so long. Got it back in October, and now we're finally starting to see him every week on SmackDown. Absolutely love it. Now he's going to be in a singles match on a premium live event. Absolutely love to see it. And then Santos Escobar on the other end, one of my favorite WWE guys over the last couple of years, man. So I'm really happy with what Escobar has been doing just throughout this year, but especially the last few weeks. I think the heel turn has been executed to perfection. The promo last week he did on SmackDown, running down Rey Mysterio, this, that, and the third, explaining himself. Great stuff by Santos Escobar. I'm very happy to see him getting this singles match on pay-per-view, and I honestly think it could steal the show when it comes to these singles matches on this show. We got Carlito and Miz, Ripley and Zoe Stark, and Gunther and did I say Carlito and Miz? Carlito and Escobar, Gunther and the Miz. You get the point. But out of the three non-War Games matches, I think this could possibly be the best one. I think it's going to be a banger matchup. In the end, though, as much as I love Carlito, I love Santos Escobar as well, and Santos Escobar needs to win this matchup to truly establish that heel turn and move him forward into the next chapter of this story. And I know I want to bring this up as well. I know he beat down and got in the face of Cruz del Toro and Joaquin Wilde last week on SmackDown. However, I do think there is still a chance that Legado del Fantasma comes together in the end, and then Del Toro and Wilde go off. With Escobar, we have LDF back together on SmackDown, and I could see that possibly happening at Survivor Series, depending on what happens this Friday on SmackDown. Maybe we'll get a little bit more of an idea on what's going to happen with this matchup, but I could easily see Cruz del Toro and Joaquin Wilde costing Carlito the matchup and aligning themselves once more with Santos Escobar. All remains to be seen, but as for Carlito versus Escobar one-on-one, I am going Santos Escobar to pick up the victory. Next up on the show, we have the WWE Women's World Championship match. Rhea Ripley defending against Zoe Stark. I think this could be a little bit of a sleeper matchup, man. I don't really see too much hype on it on social media. I think a lot of the hype on this show has just been surrounding the War Games matches, but I do think Zoe and Rhea Ripley could pull out a solid match at Survivor Series. No shot in hell Zoe Stark is winning this matchup. There is nobody on the Raw Women's Division roster that has a chance at beating Rhea Ripley, unless your name is Becky Lynch, and I don't think that'll possibly happen until WrestleMania 40. So until then, I see Rhea Ripley just continuing to run through challengers, and that includes Zoe Stark at Survivor Series. Again, I think it's going to be a dark horse match. I think it will be good, but in the end, Zoe Stark does not stand a chance at winning this matchup. Rhea Ripley absolutely to retain the women's world title, and again, I do think she will fight Becky Lynch at WrestleMania 40, defending her championship. Who she wrestles on the way there all remains to be seen. There's definitely a lot of talent in the Raw Women's Division that they could pluck to challenge Rhea Ripley. We saw, I think, almost the entire division once again on Raw this past week, which is a big Raw was a nice go-home show, and a lot of great women's division action on Raw this past Monday night. But as for Saturday, as I mentioned, Rhea Ripley to retain the Women's World Championship. Next up, we have the Intercontinental Championship matchup. Gunther defending against The Miz. Another matchup that I'm really looking forward to. I think it is going to be a banger match. And, you know, nobody in hell obviously expects The Miz to win this match, and I don't think he will either. I think he has just as much of a chance as Zoe Stark does at beating Rhea Ripley, which is absolutely none. However, I do think this will be a great matchup, man. I will not be surprised, I should say, if this is one of the best Miz matches in years. I mean, Gunther has pulled out some of the best out of, you know, I don't want to say pulled out because that makes it seem like the other half of the ring is not good at their job, but like Gunther has had banger matches with so many people, has been there for some of the best matches of several superstars' career over the last few years. Sheamus, McIntyre, Gable, so on and so forth. I do believe we will see that out of The Miz, and this will be a match that we look back on in Gunther's Intercontinental Championship reign and we go, that was a banger. I think it's going to be great. Miz, though, again, I don't think he has a shot in hell. Gunther definitely to retain the Intercontinental Championship. Credit where it's due, they've done a solid job at building this up over the last couple of weeks. The promo this past Monday on Raw, definitely good stuff, but again, in the end, Gunther to retain the IC title. And I could see this honestly going past Survivor Series a little bit. We still have Imperium and DIY going on, and I could easily see them, you know, leading up to a big 6-man tag team matchup. December, of course, has no premium live event, so I do expect one of these, you know, Raws to be a Christmas episode and then a New Year's episode when we get there. So I'm sure they're going to stack up those events a little bit. I could easily see in the near future an Imperium versus DIY and The Miz 6-man tag on Monday Night Raw. Not saying that has much to do with this, but I could easily see The Miz once again maybe challenging Gunther down the line for the Intercontinental title. He still won't win, but I could see them running it back. Nonetheless, Gunther to retain the Intercontinental Championship over The Miz at Survivor Series. And guys, before we move any further, I want to remind you about the channel memberships right here on the No Nation Wrestling YouTube channel. As you guys can see on your screen, we have 2 tiers, one of them being the Backstage Pass, which gives you access to exclusive badges and emojis that you can use in the comment section of videos like this. You also get discounted merchandise. My merchandise, or I should say my merch store, is linked down below in the description, and you also get early access to videos, including this one. This will be up technically on Tuesday for channel members, but you guys are watching it on Wednesday. If you're not a channel member, you could have saw it early if you hit that join button down below. We also have one perk up, that is the Premium Pass, which gives you all the previous perks that you get in the Backstage Pass, but if you are a Premium Pass holder, you will get one exclusive Ruthless Discussions podcast bonus episode each and every month, starting in the month of December. Of course, the Ruthless Discussions podcast, a podcast all about the WWE Ruthless Aggression era. We have 2 dropping tomorrow here on the channel, talking about the top 10 greatest rivalries of the Ruthless Aggression era, as also a retro review of Survivor Series 2006. These are coming your way tomorrow right here on the No Nation Wrestling YouTube channel, but you can get a bonus episode of the Ruthless Discussions podcast starting next month if you become a Premium Pass holder. Hit that join button down below, become a No Nation Wrestling channel member. I'd greatly appreciate it. But back to Survivor Series, we have the Women's War Games matchup. Asuka, Bayley, Kairi Sane, and the WWE Women's Champion Io Sky taking on Charlotte Flair, Shotzi, Bianca Belair, and Becky Lynch. You guys know how I feel if you've been watching the channel, is the fact that Becky Lynch is involved in this matchup. It's nothing personal against Becky. I have no problem with Becky Lynch, but she has nothing to do with anything in this match. And I've seen numerous people in my YouTube comments, on my TikTok comments say, oh, well, Becky Lynch feuded with Damage Control. That's old news. It has nothing to do with what we're doing now. The only thing that could come of Becky being involved here, and some of the shenanigans that happened on SmackDown last week with Cody Rhodes showing up to save, can I talk, to save LA Knight from the bloodline. Maybe there's something going on behind the scenes and like in an on-screen way, like we saw Adam Pearce and Nick Aldis kind of button heads on Monday Night Raw this past week, saying like, yo, we need to talk. So I don't know what's going on there, if there's some kind of big trade thing going on, I don't know. But at the end of the day, I think Becky's just in here because Becky needs to kill time until WrestleMania. As I said earlier, I do think she will be challenging Rhea Ripley for the Women's World Championship at that show. And outside of some TV feuds, which there's nothing wrong with, her and Xia Li has been something great over, well, it's been something good on Monday Night Raw as of late, and they had a really solid matchup this past Monday. I don't see why Becky couldn't just continue, and I'm sure she will, some TV feuds throughout December, and then she's going to be one of the top prospects to win the Royal Rumble come January. Listen, it's not the end of the world that she's in the Survivor Series matchup. I'm not crying the blues about it. I'm sure it's going to be a great matchup. It definitely will be. I just wish there was a little bit more structure. That's all I'm saying. I want the Raw superstars to stay on Raw. I want the SmackDown superstars to stay on SmackDown. Nonetheless, though, back to the matchup. I'm sure it's going to be a great match. The build has been pretty solid. This has been, you know, all these women involved. Damage Control, Bianca, Charlotte, Asuka. This has all been the centerfold of the SmackDown Women's Division for months on end, so it only makes sense that it culminates at War Games. But I do think we take the next step into what will be our SmackDown WrestleMania rivalries from War Games. With that being said, I will choose the babyface team of Becky Lynch, Bianca Belair, Charlotte, and Shotzi to win this matchup. And a couple of reasons why. One, I do see Bayley being the one pinned in this matchup to lose the matchup, excuse me, for Damage Control. And that being basically what's going to get Bayley kicked out of Damage Control. You know, she has been acting like she has been perpetrating this whole thing. Like, yeah, I knew Asuka was going to join us, and I knew Kairi Sane was coming back, when obviously that has not been the case. I do think Bayley gets pinned on Saturday, and then Asuka, Kairi, and Io Sky and Dakota Kai give Bayley the boot and kick her out of Damage Control, and possibly putting Bayley in line to win the Women's Royal Rumble match in January and challenge Io Sky at WrestleMania for the WWE Women's Championship, which I'll be all for that. I'd love to see Bayley and Io in that spot, especially because we thought that split was going to happen months ago, and now it could happen on a much bigger scale than we all thought. So I'm down for that to happen. And when it comes to the baby faces, I already said what Becky's going on to do. I don't see her losing here, and I do think we will get Charlotte Flair versus Bianca Belair at WrestleMania as well. I just think it's going to be a non-title matchup, and they can butt heads here, or they don't necessarily have to, but them just being on the winning side, and then slowly but surely maybe having a competitive competition, you know, a friendly competition between the two. Bit of a one-upsmanship over the next few weeks. Both going to be top contenders to win the Royal Rumble, and then neither of them win. I do see all of that, what I just said, playing out slowly but surely throughout December, into January, and so on. So as for Saturday night, Becky, Charlotte, Bianca, and Shotzi to defeat Damage Control in the Women's War Games match. And in the main event at Survivor Series, we have the men's War Games matchup. Drew McIntyre alongside the Judgment Day, Damian Priest, Finn Balor, Dominic Mysterio, and JD McDonough, taking on the World Heavyweight Champion Seth freaking Rollins, Cody Rhodes, Jey Uso, Sami Zayn, and the returning Apex Predator, Randy Orton. I am so excited for Randy Orton to be back on Saturday night, as I'm sure you all are as well. And this is going to be an awesome matchup, man. The lineup is absolutely stacked. I said it weeks ago. I'll say it again. Just because looking at this lineup, as I just said, I think is stacked. I'm glad the Bloodline's not involved, because they didn't need to be involved. I didn't need Jimmy and Solo on the heels. I didn't need LA Knight on the babyface side. What we're getting on Saturday with this lineup, with McIntyre added, Randy Orton coming back, this is perfect. This is the culmination of what Monday Night Raw and the storylines on Monday night have been for months. And not saying things aren't gonna, you know, bleed out from here. I do expect, you know, some WrestleMania stuff, as I did for the women, to start making themselves a little bit more clear after Survivor Series. First, we get through Saturday night though, but I love the lineup. I'm really looking forward to this match. Let's talk about the winner. I do believe the babyface side, Seth Rollins, Cody Rhodes, Jey, Sami, and Orton, will win this matchup, and there's a couple of reasons why. One, I don't see Randy Orton losing his comeback matchup. I don't see the World Heavyweight Champion Seth Rollins losing this match. I don't see Cody Rhodes losing this match on his way to WrestleMania 40 to potentially fight Roman Reigns. On the other side, even if you didn't have all those caveats to think about, I do believe this is where we truly start to see some more dissension within the Judgment Day. I do think we will get Damian Priest versus Finn, or whether it's a triple threat with Dominic or something along those lines at WrestleMania, the Judgment Day imploding one way or another. And I think we will get something, maybe not something huge. I'm not saying there's going to be some turn in this matchup, just some kind of miscommunication that maybe cost them the match, something along those lines that plants the seeds to begin the breaking apart of the Judgment Day. I'm not saying I want to see it. I have no problem with the Judgment Day. I just do think that is where we are heading slowly but surely in to WrestleMania 40. And I think it really I almost say kicks off, because we've been seeing, you know, dissension on and off in the Judgment Day really throughout the summer. And then, you know, they've gotten back together and they fixed their issues and this, that, and the third. We've seen it before, but I think it's going to take that next step at Survivor Series. So with the winners of this matchup, I do think it will be, one more time saying all their names, Jey Uso, Sami Zayn, Cody Rhodes, Seth Rollins, and Randy Orton. And where do these guys go from here? What's next for Seth Rollins? Maybe another match with Drew McIntyre. I'm not sure. Jey Uso is going to have a very interesting situation on his hands, you know, with Randy Orton coming back. We all talked about Jey and his basically like, oh shit reaction to Randy Orton joining his team, knowing that he is part of the reason why Orton was on the shelf. So that is going to be very interesting. I'm looking forward to Saturday at Survivor Series, but I'm really looking forward to Monday Night Raw next week to see what Randy Orton is going to do, who he's going to target, who he's going to be interacting with. I'm really pumped up for that. All in all, we could talk all night long about what's going to happen next here on out on Monday Night Raw going into January, this, that, and the third. But as for Survivor Series this Saturday night, Randy Orton, Sami Zayn, Jey Uso, Cody Rhodes, and Seth Rollins to get the victory. One more time. The match is out the door. Let's talk one more time about CM Punk. Listen, I thought that if CM Punk was going to come back, they would announce a open challenge for Shinsuke Nakamura. And you know, you guys heard me talk about it time and time again. And a lot of people were saying, you can't do that. It's too much in one night, Punk or in War Games. You guys heard my idea if you've been watching the videos recently. Nakamura open challenge kicks off the show. CM Punk returns. They have a match. Then we bleed into the Women's War Games, men's main event where Orton comes back. All that. That's out the window though because Nakamura didn't issue an open challenge. Unless they announce it on social media this week, but I don't think they would. I think that's kind of a lot bigger of a deal to just be like, hey, by the way, Nakamura's issuing an open challenge. Like, I just don't see it happening. However, if CM Punk returns, I do believe it'll be very Bray Wyatt style at Extreme Rules 2022, where the show basically ended. The thing came up in the corner, classic Triple H NXT TakeOver, putting the copyright thing in the corner. Then, lights go out. Matt Riddle, Daniel Cormier, they're already in the back, and then we kick off Bray Wyatt's return, and Bray walks out. Has nothing to do with what you just saw. Just before the end of the night, oh, by the way, Bray Wyatt's back. And that, I think, is what we could see at Survivor Series. You know, it's going to be a hell of a main event, or it's going to be back. Baby faces, I think, will go over as as everything comes down to earth, as what's the expression I'm looking for here? As the dust settles, if you will, at Survivor Series in War Games, right before we go off the air. Maybe a vignette or something plays. Maybe the lights go out. We hear that little and then CM Punk comes out. That's what I think, if Punk comes back, will happen. If he doesn't, is what it is. It's going to be a great show either way. I'm not going to be disappointed if Punk don't come back, but it's not WWE's fault if he doesn't show up. Like, I'm not going to be like, F WWE, they didn't give us CM Punk. They never said that we were getting CM Punk. That's all fan speculation. So we'll see what happens on Saturday, man. I hope he comes back. I know some people don't want him to come back, and honestly, not my problem. I want CM Punk back on my WWE television. We'll see what happens on Saturday. There's no way to predict it. We just gotta wait and see what happens this weekend. All in all, guys, leave your Survivor Series War Games predictions down below in the comments. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Again, be sure to hit that join button down below and become a channel member. Your support me continuing to do these YouTube videos each and every week. I would greatly appreciate it. And if you can't do that, at least make sure you subscribe. That goes a long way as well. And hit the like button as well on this video. Again, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Go follow me across all social medias at Noah Nation Vlogs, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace!